Oh, that cut off rather abruptly, but we should be live, hopefully. Not that there's any particular games that came out recently that we have to talk about.
Yeah, that's really awkward to actually watch the Twitch thing happen. I'm gonna close that because it's so delayed.
Delay, yeah.
It's fucking uncomfortable as shit. Welcome to the Enjoy Stick podcast
Yeah, the new and improved Twitch podcast with graphics.
with fucking computers that don't give an F.
You were smart enough to have a drink ready. I did not do that.
Oh yeah, but this isn't like hardcore stuff. Uh this is grapefruit shandy. It's actually really good. I hate grapefruit, but I like this stuff.
Well, I tend to not like shandy, but
Well, that's because your spirit is weak.
it is. It very much is. So, a certain thing came out yesterday, and I'm of course talking
Yeah,
about Mad Max,
yeah.
which we've both been
We,
playing nonstop.
we jumped on it, and it like it felt like no matter what happened with that game, no matter what kind of reception it got, that was just a horrible idea. Releasing it on the same day
Yeah,
as Metal Gear Solid 5.
the thing I've heard mostly positive stuff about it. I mean, it didn't get great reviews across the board, but a lot of people are enjoying it.
I think it kind of almost got the worst reception in that spot, like the most heartbreaking reception, which is it's not bad.
Yeah, right.
It's got some pretty good things in it. Too bad everyone is playing something else right now. Um,
And that's the thing. Like the Mad Max seems like it's a game that would have been great over the summer. I really
yeah,
think that it could have killed if it had been able to like cash in on the movie launch and like launch at least somewhere near like when all that was
it could
going
have
on.
a game like that could have killed in a lot of well, not killed, but done all right for itself in probably any month that was not August
Yeah,
or September. Sorry.
September, but well, October maybe even because I think there's another little lull. I know there's stuff coming out, and then November has a weird amount of
Well,
things.
November has Fallout and I think Star Fox.
Tomb Raider, the Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Who gives a shit about that? No one plays Tomb Raider anymore. That's not popular. That didn't do well at
And then, of
E3.
course, like I think Call of Duty, all those Black Ops and stuff. If it's not end of
Yeah,
October, I think it's into November. I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, it just is an unfortunate line. I'm glad people are liking it though. But
yeah.
of course, the one
So
that we've really been playing is Metal Gear.
yeah, I just one more thing about Mad Max. Like, kind of what I heard, and I think part of the reason it's I think it was kind of like it's just been sabotaged from the get go was like conceptually it was sort of sabotaging itself where it's like it's kind of an interesting open world game, but then you hear that like they kind of just follow the Ubisoft open world blueprint, which is what I read in one review, which is that towers and like you climb a lot of towers and
Yeah, and collect
uh,
things and
collect things, and like it's just not structured
right.
in a unique way, unlike what we're playing right now.
Yeah, and that's what Metal Gear. I think we talked about it on air. I've been talking about it a lot. I haven't played a Metal Gear game all the way through since Solid, the first one. And I played a little bit of the second one, but by a little bit I mean I never got off the original aircraft carrier that you dropped from the bridge down onto.
Right.
So that's very little of that. And it's not so much for the story. It's about as batshit crazy of a story as you can get. But I don't mind that. It's just I never liked the Metal Gear gameplay, and this one
Yeah.
is so different than that. I mean,
He-
it's still stealth and that kind of stuff, but
and we kind of talked about that with Ground Zeroes, how I was kind of surprised how much I liked Ground Zeroes because I fucking hate playing the other MGS games. But even Phantom Pain like feels somehow like smoother and like a step above that.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like, even though that game was sort of a demonstration of what was coming with Phantom Pain, it feels a lot more polished and a lot smoother to play. And I was like immediately just like, part of it was, I think I was just relieved my new computer, which we haven't talked about, it could actually run it, because I've been having some problems running more advanced stuff on this black piece of shit, and I'll tell that story later. Um, but yeah,
And it's
it
very much a
feels great.
heavyweight game. I mean, it's a gorgeous game to watch.
Oh yeah,
Sometimes you can't believe it's all, not all, but there's parts that are all like in engine real time that are just astounding.
yeah.
But
I'm distracted by my video because, like, if I go over here, it's like I got a holy aura. Oh,
I like when you spin to the other side, the camera adjusts and you turn into like that cigarette smoking man from the X Files. It's all just silhouetted.
it's like one of those terrible like direct TV commercials or whatever. Like, hi, I'm Ben, and I'm cigarette smoking
Smoking man.
Ben. Um,
But yeah, the other thing, and we talked about this online a little bit, having not played the other Metal Gear Solid games or Metal Gear in general, because I know there's some outside of the Solid series, I have no idea what's going on in the story. Today I did manage to find a pretty good like review of the story up to this point, broken down in just a 5 minute chunk, except they had to cheat and do two 5 minute chunks to cover it.
right.
And I don't know if that helped or made me more confused. It's just like, oh, well, everybody's named either Snake or Boss, and some of them are double agents, some are triple agents, some are quadruple agents, and then there's Fox, and then Foxhound, and Fox Hunters, and I,
Yeah, well, Metal Gear Solid, like, since my brother is such a huge fan of the series and I've watched him play it so many times, and I have beaten a couple of them. I didn't really like it, but I played through a couple of them in my time. So Metal Gear Solid, like the story of it, it's one where I have a rough idea of the beginning and a rough idea of the middle, and I have no idea how the fuck it ends. And that's true in kind of both timelines. Like there's the big boss timeline, which is Phantom Pain and Metal Gear Solid 3, and Peace Walker, I think, was the other one.
yeah, and I think that's what was so confusing is things like I said, I played the first Metal Gear Solid. That's a completely different Snake timeline person.
Well,
I mean,
it's the same timeline, but it's different character. And
it's farther ahead because that one takes place
yeah,
in like 2005, I think, and
yeah, I like 2007, 2008, I think, is Metal Gear Solid 4. Um, I don't know, but like the ending is always where it like trips up. I cannot fucking explain to you, no matter how many times my brother has tried to explain it to me. I have no idea how Metal Gear Solid 4 actually ends. Like I don't understand it. I've seen it in Let's Plays. I've had people explain it to me, and I don't get it. Um, and the big boss stuff that you're getting into when you turn on Phantom Pain was it was kind of nice because like you go into Metal Gear Solid 3 and it's like a chance to, like, you got to connect it to that later stuff but more loosely, so like you don't end up feeling lost, like, and they have a chance to like simplify things a little bit. Of course it's fucking Kojima, so he doesn't,
right.
but he has the option to. And then it got into like Peace Walker stuff, and that was kind of where they lost me again because there was no way I was going to play that fucking game. It seemed really tedious to me. Like it was very mission based and stuff, and it just did not look fun. And we're talking about, I'm not a fan of the series, so the rest of it didn't look fun
Right. And I got that
before.
impression off of like the minute and a half coverage on that 5 minute boiled down video. I was watching it like, yeah. But,
Yeah.
and again, it because it's showing some of the old cutscenes and gameplay, and it just really it hits home how much I hate that old gameplay. But But basically, it
Well,
sounds like Big Boss. Every time you send in on a mission, he's being played, and at the end of the game, it's like, ha ha ha! You thought you were doing the right thing, but you weren't, and now you're pinned. You know, this whole disaster's pinned on you.
kind of.
Yeah,
That's the gist, and it was kind of like it's amazing what good gameplay and a really like the game like there's not you can't really say the as far as I'm in it now like I'm only like a couple missions into the game. More on that later. Uh, like the you can't really say like oh the world is so alive or so detailed or anything because you're really just in these sort of battlefields in Afghanistan going from outpost to town and stuff and like kind of they're all it's all military operations and stuff and that stuff is all just good level design for gameplay but it's not like oh the world's so alive but every system feels really well crafted and like all the characters you do meet who are actual characters feel really three-dimensional and like it just
there
like
was
I mean
there was
there's so
something
much
so like
detail.
cinematic about it too. The way that game opened, like my one
Yeah.
gripe, you're in the hospital, and for like the first 20 minutes, you can't even. You're just like crawling on at one point one arm because your other one gets injured, and normally that would just feel. I mean, it does feel slow and clunky and a little frustrating, except for the whole setting and everything going on around you is so interesting that
Right.
it didn't bother me that much. It's hard to talk about because I don't want to have spoilers, and the intro is something that you really, if you're going to play the game,
The,
it's a treat. I mean,
the intro is like intro sections like that, especially in like, some like Metal Gear, it's gonna take a while to get into the actual game. Because we're talking about a series that would just throw a fucking 20-minute monologue at you
yeah.
to
Well,
explain like
hell,
the war.
Ground Zeroes was only a one mission game, and it had a half hour, I think, or almost 40-minute opening like series of cutscenes. It was crazy.
Yeah, like they go really long with it. And I know some people who like that. I know a lot of people who probably don't like that type of design. And Metal Gear Solid 5 finally feels like kind of the sweet spot. Like MGS was always a series going for that cinematic feel, but now it's like they're able to do that while still giving you just enough, control that like you feel a part of it and you feel a lot more engaged than you ever have before. And like MGS5, it's so tense and so fucking psychotic at times. It's easily one of the best intros to a game I've played.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and just so interesting and so what the fuck,
yeah,
like I said, I don't want to
and
give any of that. Although I kind of did on Twitter yesterday, and then it's like, oh yeah, somebody mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, I should probably redact that. It wasn't like a big major plot spoiler or anything, but it is such a cool moment when it just comes out of nowhere that it's like,
I think that's a mark of like a really good intro thing where it's like it's one of the first things you'll experience, but you're still like, I don't want to fucking blow that for people because it's awesome. Like,
right,
you know,
right, and that's what because I was joking doing like a live review, basically riffing off the concept we've talked about it on the show before. There was a Third Rock from the Sun episode where Dick decides that tipping the way you tip waiters and waitresses is stupid, and he's going to start with his good tip, and then every time they make him mad, he'll take $1 away. So that's kind of how I was approaching the review. Is like, we'll start 10 out of 10, and then we'll just add or take away based on experiences.
not a bad idea.
No, I don't.
And
That's not,
until you're knocking points off for sucking. Like the last,
in fairness, though, at that point, I was knocking points off, and I was still at like 16 out of 10. So,
well, yeah, you like you had mentioned something, and then you were like 2,000 fucking.
oh, that was that scene that I really, really want to talk about, but won't, just so it's a
Yeah.
treat for you if you
Yeah,
happen
like-
across it. Like it was, I got done watching that, and I'm like, I'm not even sure what I just watched, but it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, like unfortunately, if we reviewed it by like based off of being terrible, like the game would be a fucking 1 out of 10 for me easily Because even though I like how this plays more than any Metal Gear game, I still suck at it just as hard. Um, and it's kind of frustrating because it's like, man, now the level design is like really fucking good, and I really want to be good at this game, but I'm terrible. Like there's the first mission, there's an optional objective that I didn't really know about, so I went back. Like, and the great thing about this game is you can go back and replay all these missions, no matter where they're happening in the story. They just call it a flashback, and so I go flashback and try to replay this mission and try to do this optional objective. And the optional objective is go to this base, this Soviet base, and kidnap the commander. Like you gotta use your what's it called? Fucking Flanders or Fulgen or fucking I don't know. You use your goddamn balloon and you send them off to your island. Is what you do. It's a balloon,
which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of the God. That's such a fucking cool feature. I don't think it's new. I think they've been doing that since Peace Walker, but it's still awesome. And I got to the base, and for 2 hours before we started doing the show, I can't find the fucking commander. I still haven't done it. Like,
that's the thing. It's not like they give you a big like flashing arrow. Like here you go.
Well, he has a red hat. That's as much as I know, and he only comes out at night. But my last checkpoint has only been at night. And I can't fucking find him. I always get caught by somebody before I can. And that game is its type of stealth now is it's really fun and really satisfying, but it's also the one where you need to have a lot of fucking patience. And when I keep getting caught or I keep dying, I'm tempted to go into fuck this mode and just run through everything and start shooting until I fucking find the guy, but that doesn't work. I can't find him that way because troops keep fucking coming out, and like it was really frustrating because I was at work today and all I wanted to do was come home and fucking play Metal Gear. And I got home and for 2 hours I'm just not succeeding at the one thing I want to do. But I'll get back to it. I'll fucking get it right.
See, I'm worried about that because it's funny, you go through the prologue and it's awesome. And then, you end up in Afghanistan where the game, I don't know if the whole game or the majority of the game, whatever, takes place there. And you're being briefed, and I'll keep that vague too, but then they're basically like, okay, you're the only one in the world that can do this. Go, have at it. And that's what's so cool about it is it's pretty open. I mean, you have missions, I'm assuming the story ones have to be done in order, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. But it is like that mission-driven but open world. And it's fun because you get your steed and they're like, all right, you got to go save the world. And it's like, okay. And I spent the next 10 minutes like sliding to the side of my horse, like trying to figure out the like hiding controls and stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, he sure seems like the master soldier.
Yeah.
But the only thing I've done at this point, I haven't done any of the mission itself. I played a little bit after work before the show, and there's a Soviet, like a communications outpost that's kind of close to where you start. And I was like, I'll go check that out because I thought maybe there'd be some intel there that'll help me on the mission. There wasn't, but there was only like 3 or 4 guards guarding this little post. And I didn't have problems. I didn't die, but man, he wasn't master soldier stealth killer. It was like I got within about 10 feet of the one guy, then he sees me before I could do anything, and it's like, okay, I'll pull out my machine gun and gun him down.
You gotta use that reflex time, really.
Yeah.
To like inch close and then just fucking beat the shit out of them. There's a lot of like weird bonuses and stuff, and I don't remember the game offering me a difficulty level. When I started out
at the very beginning. I know, maybe I'm thinking of Batman because I started that one too. Arkham City.
Yeah, like I don't remember, and I remember thinking like very vividly, like that's always been kind of a staple in MGS is like there it goes up to like very hard and shit,
Yeah,
and like,
I kind of
and
thought
this
it
one,
did, but
and maybe it does, maybe I'm just not paying attention, but like it feels like very standard what I'm playing right now. I'm just being terrible. And there's a lot of these challenges they added on top of it to make me feel worse about how I'm playing. It's kind of like the Sonic of stealth games,
it's
where it's just like, hey, you beat that level, you get a D. It's like, well, fuck you. It's like, well, you used reflex time. It's like, of course I used reflex time. It's you gave it to me. If you don't want me to use it,
right.
don't take points off because I used your feature, you fucker.
That's what one thing I liked about Splinter Cell Blacklist. I don't think I ever talked a whole lot about that game on the show, and I never finished it, of course. But they had the grading system, but it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you raised an alarm and you had to like kill 90% of the enemies, you get an F. But
Yeah.
it would kind of classify yours, and it played into the leveling up system. So like, if you went through and you just like run and gun, you couldn't run and gun. But if you didn't worry about alarms and you were lethal and whatever, you were like, you got like a panther medal or whatever, and then like they had different names for them there, but it was basically broken down into three play styles. So you had the like stealthy non-lethal, and then stealthy lethal, which is like how I played Deus Ex, and then they had like the just all out, like not worried about stealth and you're just shooting shit up.
Yeah.
So that was always cool because then you could approach it how you wanted to and not like feel like you're not playing the game right.
Yeah.
But
I like, and I kind of think about that because I am so fucking bad at Metal Gear, and I like a game like Dishonored. I try to do everything as like perfectly as I can, and like
until you kill
if I'm
somebody with a bookcase, but
yeah, until fucking Corvo's gonna Corvo, um, but like. So I don't want to, if I'm doing a run where it's like don't kill anybody, I try to stick to that or whatever. Playing Metal Gear Solid 5, I think because so much of the rest of that game is so like I'm so caught up in the rest of it, like I'm caught up in these characters and I'm like interested in this story. Only took me fucking 11 goddamn games, but now I care. Only 11 games and the creator leaving for me to give a shit about Metal Gear finally. But like now I don't really like feel bad if like shit goes wrong. Meaning like I I, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
yeah, well, like I said, for that one outpost, there's only 4 people, and I managed to sneak up to the first guy, but he saw me like right as I got up to him, and I was able to use that reflex time to take him down.
Yeah,
And there was
but
a
I
guy
mean,
that was close by with his back turned, and I was able to like, I at the very start, I don't understand what happened because I missed the dialogue. Like your machine gun or whatever has a silencer, but as soon as I started firing, it's like the silencer broke or something. It like goes away.
yeah, yeah, you have a suppressor on your weapons, and using your weapons ruins the suppressor, and obviously, a suppressor on an assault rifle will not last very long.
Yeah. So I
Um,
like almost immediately got this message like now your gun's going to be loud when you fire it. I'm like, okay, that's what guns
yeah,
do.
and
But
what I was trying to think of is like how you have this mother base mechanic, and like you're ballooning guys up to your fucking mother base and stuff, and like the reason I guess I don't have a problem with like like any other stealth game, if I get caught or something, it's like, oh fuck, hit checkpoint or whatever. Um, this game I kind of roll with it because like the punishment isn't that I got caught. You can get out of that. The punishment is if I have to actually pull out my assault rifle and start fucking smoking guys. Those are less people I can fucking balloon off. Those are less resources. So
yeah, that's I haven't got to that mechanic yet. That sounds interesting, but that does bring
it's
up
fun.
the people are loving the game pretty much across the board. But of course, it can't be a perfect launch. I don't think that's a possible thing in this day and age. The online servers are all messed up, and that's kind of affecting the mother base mechanic. Um,
Well, no, the mother base mechanic sticks around. It's just the online FOB mode
uh,
that's being fucked up by
okay,
the
those are two
server
different.
issues.
Yeah, and then
Well,
also
I think they're
also
connected, but um, you go to mother base in the game, so like that's a mechanic in the single player. You can do all that in offline mode. It's just you
well,
know
part of
the
it's
multiplayer was
yeah, building
down.
up your base. The way I heard it described was that the multiplayer, at least at this point, is going to be almost like a Clash of Clans type thing, where you can build your bases up and you can try to invade other players' bases. So it's like in your best interest to design and protect your base well. I don't think it's
Yeah.
like an active like first person shooter deathmatch when you invade. I don't know how the mechanic works exactly.
It's a like it's kind of a if you watch I watched some of the E3 maybe not E3 but I watched some videos of it and like one of the guy invading like he kind of infiltrates like Snake or something and you take control of like one of your guardsmen and like you're all trying to like catch the guy sneaking into your shit trying to take your stuff
Yeah.
um and it's it's Metal Gear gameplay just, online. And it actually looked really cool, which was why it was kind of a bummer to hear about how the microtransactions play a fucking pretty big part because you don't get a lot of money to,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the problem. Not that they're there, but that the coins that you can buy with microtransactions can't really feasibly be earned through just regular course of play. Like you do earn them, but not at a rate that is really helpful, and
right.
that's always frustrating. I mean, that kind of launched me into a thing last night about Heroes of the Storm, which I won't get. I keep talking about the game and nobody cares about it, but I mean, its models largely the same way. It's like, yeah, you can earn the currency through the game itself, but not at a rate that makes it. I calculated that I have probably between 108 and 200 hours in that stupid game, just based on like the number of games I've played and the average length it takes to play a match, and I could only buy through the in-game currency maybe 5 characters, and you need 10 in order to play competitively. So, I guess no, I said between. I guess it was like 108-ish hours. Is probably pretty accurate. But if I can only get half the characters I need, and your gold income actually decreases after the first part of the game because at first you get a bunch of bonuses. So you're looking at like 200 hours a game just to get into the competitive if you don't want to pay any money, and I just hate that model.
Yeah. I wish, I wish stuff like that could have been like kept out because it's just something that like playing a game that like like I said, I'm not very far in the game, and it could turn into one of those situations where it's like after a few hours more, I'm just like, all right, this is a little more what I remember Metal Gear being like. But right now, it's like I'm in this mindset of like I'm really excited about how good this is, and like this really feels like something special. Like I don't even want to think about fucking microtransactions.
Right.
Like I don't want to think about the goddamn business side of this game at all because the game itself just top to bottom is really good and
The
that was kind of always its problem with all this Kojima Konami stuff. It took away from the focus, which is Metal Gear Solid 5 seems really fucking good and you should like that's what we should have all been talking about and
right.
instead it's like we're talking about Konami like and pachinko machines and
The one blessing to me is this microtransaction and the base mechanic. Mostly, it does have actual impact on a single player game, but not to the point where you can't enjoy it or have fun without buying them. It mostly has impact on the multiplayer portion, and as cool as it sounds, at right now I'm not interested in multiplayer anyway. I'm playing it 100% for
uh,
single player.
yeah, I'm not fucking good enough to like. I need to learn how to play this game before I can even think about bringing it online.
I'm having so much trouble like getting the control scheme down. And it's funny because last night that was one of the things I was jokingly taking a point away because you're supposed to crawl at one point and then Snake stood up. But when they teach you like how to crawl, they're like hold A to crawl. So I thought you had to hold A the whole fucking time you crawl.
And what they mean is hold A and release it after you've held it
Right,
for a
because
little
there's a
bit.
difference between a tap A and a hold A. So then
Well,
if
they
you
should just say that. Like they should say tap A and press A,
right
like we've always
or
done.
shortly hold, but the way they word it is literally hold A to crawl. And if you hold A, eventually if you held it long enough and you're crawling and you let go, it reads as you pressing A to stand up. And that's terrible. And I'm sitting here thinking like how am I supposed to like pull out my binoculars, look around and do this all while holding A like well, it's cuz you don't have to hold freaking A.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of little things like that.
yeah,
But it's fun. I can't wait to play more. I don't know why I'm sitting here talking to you.
yeah. Why the fuck? Like, we could end the show right now. Everyone else, like who would normally listen to the show, which is a guy named Brett. He's from Detroit.
Yeah. What's up,
Um,
Brett?
our one fan. He's playing Metal Gear right now. He doesn't even give a shit.
I
Um,
toyed with the idea since I'm the one broadcasting. I could have broadcast like you and then me playing the game in the background, like stream. I don't know
you
that.
should just stream Metal Gear. I'll watch. It was like
The thing
that'd
is,
be
I thought about that though,
fucking
and I'm like,
fun.
Metal Gear's the kind of game that I don't want to stream though because I feel like
Yeah.
you're giving away spoilers. Well, and I suck at it. Nobody would want to watch me play Metal. As bad as
Yeah.
you're making yourself sound at it, I guarantee I'm 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, you want to see me fucking try to find a commander for 3 hours? And the fucking Twitch chat just like one dude who can't stand that I can't find the
Well,
guy.
the best part would
It's
be
just
though.
like fucking dude, find him.
No, what happens is you always get the know-it-all guy that's already played through the game 4 times, and you're like crawling. You're like, where is this guy? He's like, turn around. He's behind. You turn around. The guy's literally standing like a foot behind you. It's just every time you look somewhere, he's behind you.
Yeah. Sounds like something Metal Gear would do.
Mhm.
Just like a villain who's always behind you.
I'm
Uh,
very interested to learn more about the villains from the beginning of the game because they seem like they're going to be a big pain in the ass.
Yeah, it seems like honestly the most interesting villain setup since like the first Metal Gear Solid with like Psycho Mantis and shit, where it was like,
Yeah, and that's I don't know the characters well enough. That's why like last night I was talking about them a little bit, but I'm like I don't know if this is like a big spoiler like oh these are like returning characters that we're giving away and they're not. I looked it up and at least the one I didn't know which one the other one was because I don't want to poke around too much because I don't want to find spoilers myself. But
yeah,
there was the wiki page for the game has a list of every character from the Metal Gear series, and if you ever want to make your brain hurt, go fucking read through that. Like, fortunately, it's set up by what games the characters are introduced, so I could just avoid the Metal Gear 5 section to
yeah.
not have spoilers. But that still leaves something like
But then that's like, what if a character comes back in Metal Gear Solid
well,
5,
but
and
knowing
then
who
like
they are
you
at
go
that
to,
point's not a spoiler. But
but no, it might be because like, what if it's like, and I'm not saying this is the case. Like, I don't know. This isn't a spoiler. This is just a hypothetical. Like, what if like a character died in one of the earlier games, and then comes back as like one of the villains, and you're like, oh shit, I spoiled that for myself because I'm reading about what happened in Metal Gear Solid 3, and then somebody added a fucking annoying little sentence at the end of it.
I see what you're saying, but at least at the point that I was reading it, there was literally just like a sentence or two about each character. It wasn't like everything that they'd ever done
Sure.
in the game. But yeah, I didn't think about that. And after like watching the lore, I almost expect like the final boss to be the boss. Like, oh, she's been dead and maybe come back 100 times, and then you find out she didn't come back. It was AI, but like,
No, it won't. It won't be the boss. I don't think so. Anyway.
yeah, it sounds like she's pretty well dead. But
Well, because it was such of a like, they did that shit with the AI stuff in Peace Walker, but the actual boss dying was supposed to be like a really big triggering point, I think, for Big Boss. You know,
right,
Old Snake, not Old Snake, Naked Snake. Old Snake is Solid Snake. See, that's fucking confusing.
Yes.
It should be just one fucking goddamn
Why
name.
does everybody have to be Snake? And then I noticed a lot of the villains are just like named Snake, and it's like what?
Well,
Not a lot of the
Big,
villains, but there was a couple
Big
other
Boss
snakes.
started off as Naked Snake, and now they're calling him Venom Snake, but they also call him Boss.
And he was Snake Eater at some point. Well, or was it just Operation Snake Eater?
He was Naked Snake in Operation Snake Eater.
Okay.
And then Solid Snake was he was just Solid Snake through until 4, where they called him Old Snake. And then there's Liquid Snake. I don't know why he's called Liquid Snake at all.
But he was a villain in the game he was in, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a villain, so I don't know why they fucking gave him a nickname
Snake.
like
Right.
yeah. And then there was Solidus Snake, who
So
we try to forget about him.
but not only do they have to keep with a Snake nickname, but they have to do one that's almost Solid Snake, but they'll just add a couple letters to the end of it.
Well, I think I actually looked that up one time because I thought it was funny, but like Solidus is a like state. I guess it's not like a state of matter or some shit. I don't know.
I'd still rather use solid-ish. Like, it's solid-ish. It's like Jello. It's solid-ish.
It's a little solid.
And we're waiting for the
Gelatinous snake.
still waiting for gassy snake, or gaseous snake.
Gelatin snake is not very impressive, but he is delicious.
But there's always room for him. He can squeeze into the smallest holes. But
And he has. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm really enjoying it. I did get a copy for the PS4, but I got a free copy with my video card for this computer. So,
and that's what surprised me is you seem to be playing it on PC instead of.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it would work because. So let's get into story time.
All right.
Because for the last few years, I had been talking about on this show how one of my goals was to get a good computer one day, and I didn't, of course, do the responsible thing and save up. My brother just came into my room one day when I was at work, and my computer apparently sounded like it was going to blow up. At a time it should have been in hibernate mode. So he was like, okay, and he has, pretty good money right now. And he was like, all right, he was trying to think of what to give me for my birthday, and he was like, okay, I was tossing this idea around, but fuck it, I'm going to just do it because you need a new computer. And I'm like, I'm not going to fucking complain. Like he's not going to go broke and I get a new computer. Hell yeah. So he bought me a computer, like he bought the parts, and it was kind of this budget build guide we looked up online. And but the parts were actually like they're pretty impressive. Like this NVIDIA card, obviously it can play Metal Gear. It fucking looks great. Wasn't too expensive. Not the best card they have, but not the worst either. The processor, it was kind of the one thing I was a little worried about. Because it's not even like an i5 or so. Like it's not what the requirements are for a lot of games these days, where it's like you need a quad core or some shit. But it's actually, with the cooling system I bought, it's actually really easy to overclock it. The processor I have, and it overclocks in a way that it doesn't go crazy overheating. Like I have a good fan in here that should keep it cool, and it's a good enough speed to play Metal Gear. And I didn't think that would be the case because I was playing the Black Ops 3 beta on it and it kept fucking crashing. I would maybe play 5 minutes of that and it seemed to play okay, and then I would always it would crash and I would have to shut down my whole fucking computer to get out.
Fun.
Yeah. The fucking perks of PC gaming. So it turns out there's just something about Call of Duty that has fucking problems with NVIDIA. So I was like, okay, well, let's give this free copy of Metal Gear a shot, and like it worked pretty well. So it's like, yeah, that seems like a pretty big problem to have, even like for a beta. Like I don't plan to play that game if I do, I don't plan to play it on PC. But they should probably figure out how to get it to work on Nvidia cards.
Yeah,
Seems
which
like
is probably 50% at least of the.
yeah, seems like a big deal. I don't know.
Welcome back to the world of PC gaming, Ben, where you can never ever assume that a game will work on your system.
Yeah, because you might have bought the wrong brand.
Right, or just this weird combination like, well, it works on NVIDIA, but not if you have NVIDIA and this one particular brand of RAM in this, like, amount. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
now,
it's
knock on fake wood, because this is like that pressed particle board that my desk is made out of, but I haven't had a ton of compatibility problems like that with my system, but it's just a matter of time.
yeah, and I mean, in Black Ops 3, it's a beta, so that's where they find out about stuff like that, I guess. Um,
But you would think,
but
like, at least one developer there would have one of those graphics cards and be like, hey,
yeah,
guys, this isn't working on this station.
yeah, who knows? Well, they're probably all playing on PS4.
That's
Um,
true.
that's one thing about that game. It does feel really like that's a console shooter.
Yeah.
And that's weird to say because like the first Call of Duty game I played, it was 2, and
Well,
I played it on PC and I loved it. But you can see like where like now first person shooter games, like there are still good PC first person shooter games, but there's a perspective and feel to games now where it's like you can tell like this is mainly a console game.
yeah, well, and it's because largely because they were designed around controllers instead of keyboard and mouse. Instead of used to be designed around keyboard and mouse, and then they just kind of work the controller in, and now
Yeah.
you can tell which way is their, what they're actually going for.
Yeah.
But that is weird to me because that's one thing I've always said. We neither of us really are like, oh, console beats PC or PC beats console. They're all gaming systems, and they all
Yeah.
have their advantages. But there have been certain games, like I've always preferred first-person shooters with keyboard and mouse until like the last couple year or two, just because I've played console for so long, I'm so much more used to that controller. But
Yeah.
wouldn't take me long to get back into. I guess I played Dirty Bomb a bit when that beta first came out, and you pick up keyboard and mouse real quick, and you're like, yeah, this is way more skill based, I guess, or more. I don't know. Everything's skill based, but you know what I mean. Sports games, on the other hand, I've always hated on PC. The advantage now is like 90% of the games I play almost everything on PC right now because I don't have
It's convenient.
Yeah, and I don't have any I don't have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. But 90% of the games I play on PC, I'm playing with a gamepad. So
Yeah, and Metal Gear, I'm playing with a
Oh,
360 controller right now, and
I couldn't imagine
It-
playing it on anything else.
it fucking feels great. Like I'm surprised like how much I like a Metal Gear game on a 360 controller, because it's for me that's always been a PlayStation series. But yeah. So anyway, my brother bought me these computer parts, and it all showed up, and we started building it on Friday. And one of the things that kind of always like turned me off to like the idea of PC gaming and like anytime you're like, what system should I buy? If you ever say that online, there will be like, it'll probably be the first comment you get is like, fucking build a PC, idiot.
Right.
And it's fucking easy. It's just like, it's Legos for grown-ups and shit. Like you'll hear shit like that. And I was always like, it actually seems really kind of difficult. Like it seems like not difficult enough that you can't do it, but it seems like a fucking project and a pain in the ass. And it's so much easier to just buy a PS4 and wait
Well-
for the firmware to update for 3 weeks, and then you're good.
And that's also ignoring the fact that the PC you bought is close to the cost of 2 PS4s.
Sure, yeah. But I didn't pay for this.
Right.
So. Money is not an object for me because I have none. So we bought it and it all showed up, and my brother and me started getting to work, and I gotta give him credit. He did most of it, like because I could not. I had been working all day. I was really fucking tired. Two, it was just as fucking vague. Like every guide you read is just as vague and awful, and the whole process was just terrible. And it took fucking 6 hours to get this thing fucking up and running. And we had that horrible thing where we hooked everything up. Every cable was plugged in. We had it boxed up. We brought it, into my room, sat it on my desk, hooked up the monitor, plugged everything in, hit the power button, nothing. And
Which is always a great feeling.
yeah, and it's like God, yeah, and like people like my brother was like, "Why are you getting like you got to calm down?" It's like I'm fucking livid. Are you kidding me? Like it
And
doesn't
the funny
work.
part is it a lot of times it's something as simple as like a lot of power supplies have the safety like switch you can flip off in the back that means even if it's plugged in there's no power coming to it.
Sure.
I don't know what it ended up being in your scenario, but
well, I've read a couple of things. Like I read like first they like, you can't really like be like I built my computer and it's not turning on, help.
right.
Like cuz then they'll just be like, well, we don't know what you did wrong.
Right.
But I've also heard that like it takes maybe the power supply like a couple of tries to start going. But we went in and we just sort of, plugged in things, like just made sure everything was snug. Could have been one of those things. Second time we turned it on, fucking booted up like a charm. And then we started the fucking unbearably long process of trying to get Windows on this fucking thing. Because we accidentally bought a disk and this computer doesn't have a disk tray. So we had to like get it onto a flash drive, and then like we had to find a way to boot it from the flash drive, which once again my brother did that. So yeah, my brother fucking made all this possible, and because I honestly I told him like I don't know if I could ever do that again, like, and one day I'll have to, because now I'm already spoiled with like the functions of having a good computer.
And it was hilarious kind of watching your like tweets about and they're just minor tweets, but you said you've been picking up some horror games in anticipation of Halloween season and Steam. And it's like, yeah, Steam's the freaking devil, because it doesn't matter if you just bought an awesome, or in your case, got it with your graphics card. You get like Metal Gear, you're like, this is the greatest thing. It'll take me forever to play. Oh, this game is only $4. Might as well buy it now.
Right. I mean, and to be honest, like, I bought like Layer of Fear after you and me talked about it today on Twitter. Layer of Fear or Layers of Fear?
Layers.
Yeah. And like I'm not going to play that until October. Like, but to me that's something I always wanted to do, was just play a fuck ton of horror games for October, because I love Halloween. Like I love that sort of vibe, and I like playing scary games even if they're awful. And so that's something that having this computer and having access to Steam will be really good for. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I think I'm going to have time for it. Because I got Metal Gear Solid 5, which is supposedly fucking huge. The Witcher 3, which I know is fucking huge. And I've barely fucking tapped into that game. I'm pretty deep, like, hours wise, but it means nothing percentage wise. Like I have no idea when I'm gonna actually beat The Witcher. And then Fallout 4, I keep reading news stories where they're bragging about how much is in there, and I'm like, I want less. I don't have time.
Right.
And
it's all these jerks like 3 or 4 years ago that this game's only 15 hours. It's the worst thing ever. It's like 15 hours is perfect.
Yeah, sometimes it's really fucking nice. Like I bought that, and if you've been following on Twitter or Twitch, like you might have seen me playing some Mega Man Legacy Collection, and it's really nice to play those games because it's like I sit down, I play it, I beat it, I'm done.
All right.
Like, I'm not done because I'll be playing it tomorrow, but you know, like you can sit down and just sort of go through a game without having to think of like, oh, all these side quests or something. Like, no, just fucking go, blow up a robot master, and it'll be, it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
And that's
So,
what I was having fun watching you stream that, and then we were screwing around trying to do the simultaneous like stream on the other one, right?
stuff.
Right. Which
That
was
was
still
fun.
fun, but
Yeah,
the
I
first
like
one was
that.
kind of nice because we weren't screwing around trying to get things to work right or whatever. It was just watching.
Yeah, just me playing. I do have to. There are some audio issues with that. Like, I don't have the game audio loud enough coming through the stream. I noticed on the last one. Um, but you know, like that's fun, and I think, I think we have some options going forward with some, you know, co-commentating stuff that
But I'm
should be
looking
a little
forward to
better.
it. Yeah, because it's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a lot better to like have somebody you can like bounce a discussion off with. Like,
Right.
it's really hard to like carry a conversation with yourself when you're just playing a game because then you're just solely focused on that game.
I know, and that's one thing I'm terrible. I mean, I guess the more you do it, the better you get. And there's a lot of Twitch personalities out there that are great at it. But yeah, I tend to, and I'll usually start off pretty talkative, and then you get to focusing on what you're doing, and it's like, oh yeah, so then there's this thing, and then it's just me clicking away or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. My streams are awful about that because I don't even say like hello at the beginning. Like, there'll just be like a minute and a half of silence of me trying to figure shit out. Like, just like I'm clicking through menus and then like, okay,
That's
let's play.
the worst part. There's no like real good way to start a stream. Like
Yeah,
I'll watch the thing when I'm using XSplit because it'll tell you once it's live, so you can be like, "Welcome to the stream." But then it's like, "Welcome to the stream." Hold on a second. And then you have to go like make sure it's tweeted out and go back to your game and make sure like everything's running right. And yeah, it's just awkward.
well, Twitch will fucking like cut me off on my sign offs. So like, it's almost like it's not worth it to say hello or goodbye.
They're like, "Shut up and play." That's what people want to see, Ben.
Like, my last stream had a really good sign off and they fucking got rid of it because they're pricks. Of course, that stream was awful.
Yeah, that was funny too because like the whole night I was so freaking bored. I'm like, well, maybe Ben will stream something, but I wasn't gonna like bug you to because I knew you'd work
I was
that day
planning
too.
on
But
it. Like, I was planning on it, and I ultimately did. I for some reason I was really fucking tired, and just
I kind
there's
of got
something
that
about
impression just like basically on how you were tweeting that night.
yeah. I was so tired, and it's such a weird thing that like people like get shit for being like, oh, you're just a streamer, like all you do is get paid to play video games. Like, it's actually a good stream is actually pretty hard to do. And
And imagine if you had, and this will sound funny, but I was joking about it the other day. It's like, yeah, you'd like to stream and you'd love to have that audience, but man, that would be even that much more mentally taxing
yeah,
if you knew there was hundreds of people or more.
like it's kind
watching.
of
Yeah.
it's kind of a scary idea to me that video games aren't something necessarily that I can just unwind with. Because once I put on this headset and I'm live, I'm not really relaxing anymore.
Yeah, but
Like,
on
it's not really me.
the funny thing is though, like yesterday playing Phantom Pain was I think the first time I've really played a game and not streamed it because once you start streaming, it's like I might as well fire the stream up when I'm.
Yeah, and that stuff's fun. But I'm also like, I like streaming, but I need to like find a way to sort of balance. You know, I also like casually playing games, just sort of, you know,
Right.
on my own, because I'm a horrific multitasker, and for me, video games are just like the same. At the same time, I'm listening to a podcast. Perhaps that's what the Wii U is for, because you won't be able to stream off that. So,
Yeah. But
at least not on its own. But yeah, and that's another fucking thing. We got fucking Mario Maker next week.
Which is, we talked about it last week or the week before. It's weird to me that it's not out yet for as many people as I've seen talking about it. But
reviews just started going up today.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, we've been talking about it since August, and I'm like, seriously, they didn't put a score on that already?
Right. And sometimes it's easy to forget, like, because it's like, man, all the people I know are talking about it. It's not out yet, and then it's like, well, but I follow so many journalists. I mean, games, review writers and stuff.
I don't really.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it's always a surprise if anyone talks about anything.
It almost feels to me like Nintendo sent review copies of that game to like anybody that, even if you're not a writer, they're just like, oh yeah, here. Like, they're very proud of the game, and it sounds like they should be. It sounds wonderful.
That would be nice.
But I'm disappointed that it's only a Wii U. You're not getting a version on 3DS because it seems like a game that would work on 3DS, but
well, the amount of stuff, it would be probably a pretty neutered version, I would imagine. Like, the amount of shit you can customize in Mario Maker is like, and for like the amount of like features, like the amount of like art attributes that you would have to like be able to shove into the 3DS, like, it's probably doable, but like, you have to have like new Super Mario Bros. And you have to have like the original stuff, and like, it seems like plenty capable for the Wii U, probably pretty tricky to shove on a handheld. Not impossible, I imagine, but that's kind of the interesting thing. I've been thinking about that in combination with the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Like, I like that there are these sort of games that are like preserving the spirit of these classics, but I also wish they kind of embraced like going crazy a little more. And that's weird to say about Mario Maker, because like, people are like making their levels and they're just like, this is fucking nuts. I got a thwomp and it's coming out of another thwomp, and every time a thwomp comes out, thwomp. Well, I don't know what levels people are making, but like, to me, I'm still like fixating on the stuff I can't do in Mario Maker, where it's like, why can't I have Super Mario World Mario go through a Super Mario Bros. 3 level? Like, why do I have to stick to like one game's palette? Like, why aren't we far enough that we can just put whatever the fuck we want in whatever? Like, and I know that game will probably happen one day, but I feel like I want that now. And in some ways, it's like, yeah, I really want to play Mario Maker. It looks great. From everything I heard, it's great. But it also seems like a half measure to like the crazy fantasy I have in my head of what that game should be.
I don't know why, but listening to you describe that just makes me think of and I know you're not a big into the Simpsons guy, but there's a classic old Simpsons episode where they go to Australia, and while he's there, Homer's at a bar and he's like, I want one of those famous giant Australian beers, and the guy like plops down this thing. It looks like it's like a 30-gallon beer, and Homer just has this disappointed look on his face, and he's like, what's wrong? He's like, well, it's pretty big, I guess.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel. Like, Mega Man Legacy Collection is great, and well, it's great because the original Mega Man games are great, and it has a lot of cool little like art features and stuff that, like, I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying. Like, I like being able to go through these databases and be like, well, here was the idea for this enemy and blah blah blah, and then it has like all the soundtracks from those games, and you can just play them. And even that, I'm fucking nitpicking, because it's like, you can listen to these soundtracks, but it's stuck, like it's locked in that menu. Yeah. So you start playing the song, but I want to back out of that menu, and then I go a step further in my head where it's like, why can't, while I'm playing an old Mega Man game, why can't I listen to whatever fucking song I want? You know, any
Right.
fucking stage music. It'd be the goddamn Wily 1, Mega Man 2 music all the time.
That's why they're like, no, you'll just listen to one song, and we can't
That
have
was
that.
that was the song from that Bit Brigade from way back when that we talked about on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
Do 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 do.
Ben's new project, the
The do do doos.
acapella Mega Man group.
Acapella, man.
Acapella. An acapella group of one person would be about the saddest thing I've ever seen, I think.
There's a guy who got a lot of money on YouTube for being a one-man acapella group.
Did he do that thing though where he filmed himself like multiple times and put them together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And he's pretty popular and pretty talented. I couldn't do that shit.
we had a guy, and I've seen other musicians do it, but we had one visit our church years ago, and he had one of those, I don't know how familiar, I know you do music stuff. There's a pedal you can get, and you see it a lot on guitars, but really if you run audio through it, it can be for anything that's got audio going through it. And basically, you press the pedal down while you play something, and then when you let up, it'll just loop what you played over and over again. But you
Right.
can do it again and keep adding to it without erasing the prior thing. And he used that to, like, he would press it down and he would kind of just do like a drum beat or something on his legs or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he'd do. And he'd do some acapella type stuff. And like after about the sixth iteration of this loop, it was a one guy up there on a microphone with a guitar, and like it's this really complex song where all the pieces were like fitting. It was really awesome. But
Yeah, those pedals are actually pretty awesome. But me and my friend Jake, when we make our music, we don't really need one of those. All our software tends
your
to do that for us.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need to sing. It'd probably help for live shows, though. That'd probably be pretty cool.
Now I'm picturing you up there singing to your music.
It'll happen one day. Just you wait. With my shitty voice. I don't even have a voice for radio.
Yeah, well, I think we've both made that pretty clear. Over no, I didn't number this podcast. I just put the date up there, but I think it's 197. So three more episodes, we'll be at 200.
I think after 200, we should reset. Call it a reboot, but we do the same thing.
What we do is we rename the show "Don't Watch This" because I know how people are. Their natural tendency will be like, "Fuck you, then I'm going to watch it," and that's how we'll finally get an audience. Like when somebody joins the chat, we'll say, "Hey, get out of here." Or what you can do,
just ban them immediately.
Apparently, all it takes to get attention in the game world is to make one joke insulting Let's Plays. I don't know if you heard any about that. Jimmy Kimmel has got this thing going back and forth on his show. He apparently a couple nights ago on it, he made a joke about how he was talking about like watching other people play video games. He's like, that just seems like a double waste of time. And of course, gamers are fucking idiots sometimes. And
Well, that's a good joke.
it's not a particular.
I like it.
Eh.
Because I'm very self-deprecating. And so I always imagine my hobbies.
You see where the joke comes from, and you know what his target audience is anyway. But of course, some gamers had to take offense to it. It's like, oh, come on, because you never make a joke at like somebody else's expense.
Wow, you mean a guy who hosted a show called The Man Show doesn't like get video games? Like,
well,
who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like,
so their videos online have been getting all sorts of gamer hate mail, like I'm gonna fucking kill you and serve your head on a platter. You know, the typical complete moron stuff. But it's extra stupid when you're saying those things to somebody that has their own talk show. So now all he's doing is like he's on his show last night. He's just like, hey, take a look at some of these like comments we got, and he's not even like he doesn't even have to make jokes out of them. He's just reading them verbatim, and they're so hilariously like.
Well, they do that all the time. Like they'll just read people's tweets to celebrities.
Yeah,
and
it's basically that same thing.
Like the internet is a fucking joke with a like the punchline. it's a punchline that's been going on for decades now.
I liked the one person's comments like, "Oh, you have no idea who you're messing with here," and it's like, yeah, I think he pretty well does.
Yeah, he's messing with Joe Shithead on a message board. Like,
Right.
fucking look out.
You guys are giving him a ton of it, and because a lot of people are like, "Yeah, well, you're a piece of crap comedian. Your jokes aren't even funny." It's like, well, you were obviously watching his show, which is his end
Yeah,
goal.
what the fuck are you watching late night talk shows for then, you fucking clown? Like, it's.
I just love it when a host like that knows exactly what they're doing, and all these people are just like,
Yeah, like if you can't see how fucking perfect this worked out for him, like you're completely stupid. Like he latched onto something that's kind of popular right now, and he hit like the most sensitive audience on the planet that you can't get in trouble for offending today in our society because it's fucking silly for them to be so sensitive.
right. I mean,
Like if
it's kind of like the people that used to call up to Howard Stern thinking that they were gonna like out heckle him, and it's like,
nothing, like here's the thing, nothing he said was anything different than what my mom has told me about watching streams.
right.
And like
Well, and to be honest,
I don't get seriously offended. I'm just like, you don't fucking.
The funny thing
this
is like
entertaining.
it's the exact same thing I've said my entire life about watching golf on TV. Like, I get the sentiment because if you're not into it, you're like, why would you want to watch somebody else do the thing that's only fun if you're doing it? So, but it's funny, like you said, it doesn't take anything to offend gamers. Like,
But yeah, I don't know why it's such a like sensitive fucking group. It's like I think it's because there's like kind of a
there's that history of
just like and kind of that stigma of like if you played video games you were like somehow a lesser
yeah,
human. You know, like a lot of people who are gamers probably dealt with bullying and shit, and so it feels like anytime you're getting poked fun at it, you take it to an extreme that feels more based in your personal fucking
experience.
history
Right, right.
than like the actual like ill will. Like you think Jimmy Kimmel gives a fuck about you watching a let's play? Like
Right.
not really. Like he just needed a fucking one liner.
Well, and it all came out. It wasn't like he just randomly picked gamers and it's like, I'm going to pick on them tonight. It was, he was doing his piece on the YouTube gaming channel opening. You know, it was a article of current news that they made a joke out of.
Right.
And I mean, I guess I'd get a little bit more being upset if, like, out of the blue, someone's just like, how about those gamers? They're all idiots. But that's kind of how late night talk shows work. They take items of current events and make a joke about it.
Yeah. I that is one thing about like working is like now I'm usually too tired to to care about a lot of this shit. Like it now I literally like I don't even have enough time to focus on the games I like, let alone focus on the video game community. You know, like I can focus on like the people in our little circle and stuff and talk about games with you and shit and like
Derek,
that's
if
fine.
he ever shows back up.
Yeah, Derek.
I think he's on the run. We were right all the
think
times that we said he was hiding bodies.
Yeah, Derek is a fun fact. He changed his name to Felipe Navarro, and he's in the fucking jungle somewhere. Like you'll find him. He has a beard, and he's like fucking clothed in
you won't find
poisonous
him.
jungle leaves.
You won't find him. He'll find you.
Yeah, he'll find you, and when he does, you're fucked.
Yep.
Unless
you've got an amiibo to offer in sacrifice.
Yeah, well, that's the superstition. That's the in the village is that if you leave an amiibo, he'll leave you alone. It's hard to say whether that's true or not. No one's been brave enough to try it.
Right.
But yeah, wherever you are, Felipe, we miss you. What else is going on?
Nothing.
What do we got? I'm sure I played other stuff. We can talk about that. Because
like I said, I started Arkham City. That's how far
Oh
back I
yeah,
am
and you
there.
fucking talk mess. You're talking shit about Arkham City,
No, I
the
wasn't. I
good
was.
game.
I I mentioned that I don't care about the Riddler's trophies, and they sure as hell want you to care about them, at least in the beginning, because they're just like everywhere you turn. You're like, oh, here's a trophy. Um, the part that I don't love, and it's kind of one of the things I don't like. You've gotten enough into The Witcher, you've dealt with it, but like you start Arkham City playing as Catwoman, but it's real short. And
Yeah.
then you play as Batman for like a mission, and then it jumps back to Catwoman, and it's like I'm a little annoyed because I'm like I don't want to play. Not there's anything against Catwoman, but like I like the Batman mechanics and I like the Batman character, and they keep.
Wait, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't. You don't go back to Catwoman that fast. Um,
Uh,
you
I
so you go, you steal you open the safe or whatever, and then Two Face gets you,
right,
and then you get into Batman, right?
right, and you have to save her from the acid pit, like the trial, and
Right,
then Joker tries to assassinate her, and you track him back to the bell tower. And then find out that's radio controlled, and you track that back to the foundry or whatever, the factory.
right.
And then you get to oh, Joker's sick, he's dying, blah blah blah, and you get up in that room with Harley Quinn, and you're like, oh wow, Joker's dead. And then of course that was all a big ruse, he's not dead, and they knock you out with a baseball bat. Harley does. And then right after that point you go back to Catwoman.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I doubt it's really
Um,
long, but it's just like, damn
well,
it, stop.
Catwoman actually, like, you kind of get used to her. I wouldn't say I like her better than Batman, but it's something different. Um, and it's not like her shit's really brief. Like it feels like almost like her gameplay parts, besides one point in the story near the end. It felt like a lot of her gameplay stuff was sort of tacked on to make people feel like they were missing something if they happened to buy a used copy of the game.
Oh, were those segments cut out? If
Yeah,
yeah,
that
okay.
was all
Well,
DLC
shit.
that
Now I
only
want
came with a
the
new
used
copy.
copy of the game. Can I like get rid? I kind of felt, and that's my problem with it. It's not necessarily so much I don't like Catwoman, although that's what I said. Yeah, because I don't. I'm not invested in her like I am Batman. But
Right.
it feels like it's being used as like a very superficial transition. Like at the beginning of the story, it's used to like get you into the story of now you have to save Catwoman. Like they didn't want to just show you her being captured. And that one was kind of fine, although it was really, really weird to me to start a Batman game as somebody that's not Batman. But although I don't remember, maybe at that point you had played the intro as Bruce Wayne. I can't remember if
Yeah.
that came before or after. But anyway, the second part, it's just kind of feels like a convenient way to transition from Batman being captured by Joker and Harley to whatever comes next in the story. Like instead of just like fading to black and fading in, they're like in the middle we'll insert Catwoman.
Yeah, a little bit. And you do play as Bruce Wayne after Two Face captures Catwoman. And I actually like that intro because it was kind of like oh shit,
Well, but I'm
it's
saying
like
I didn't.
like Batman can stop all this stuff, but now like Bruce Wayne, like what the fuck can he do? Like
That part I loved playing as Bruce Wayne, getting it. It was it was very superficial there too, and that's really my big problem with Siri and The Witcher 3 is it all feels superficial. But you start out playing as Catwoman, but it's really just you're in this room and here's some thugs, beat them up real quick. Oh, now you're captured. Like there was no real whatever to it.
uh yeah, I guess I didn't mind it because her stuff completely just revolves around like the same general mechanics as Batman, and that was at a time when fucking Batman was good.
Yeah, that's the one thing that the game reminded me real quick. It's funny because as good as the graphics were at the time, it's already feels pretty dated.
A little bit, yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
not that it's like blocky or pixely and ugly. It's just, but the characters all look like Batface or something. Like
Well, it's kind of yeah, it's like go play fucking Gears of War the first
Right.
one, and be like, "Tell me that fucking looks good." Not really. Um,
But I forgot. And it's weird to say I forgot how good because we always talk about how amazing, especially the early Arkham games, were. You know, I forgot how much I liked Arkham Asylum though until I started playing this. Um,
yeah.
although I suck at we talk about sucking at Metal Gear, I
Okay.
suck at Batman too. Like
Well, you make up for it, and
Heroes of
I
the
don't know.
Storm.
Well, I
I'm
wasn't even
pro
going to
there.
say that. I now that I have a new computer, I know that's not true either. Oh, no, I don't know. I've watched a few of your Heroes of the Storm streams now. I have no idea what the fuck's going on in that game. Like I watched the fucking like guy from Diablo get stabbed a bunch and
Mhm.
hear you say something that doesn't make any sense to me. Fuck. I have no
Give
idea
it
what
give it a year and you'll be hardcore into MOBAs. Maybe not that one. Might be Dota 2 or League of
oh,
Legends.
like I can't tell you how much of a fucking mess that game looks like to me. And not a mess in like it's designed poorly or something, but it's just like the way that gameplay unfolds, like zero interest. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like watching really good StarCraft players. Like I understand like you're thinking and you're pressing the right buttons at the right times and stuff, and like there's skill involved here, but the end product that I'm seeing is just a mesh of fucking little pixels shooting each other,
And
and
that's one of the things that I would be really bad at on an actual competitive circuit. When you get all five, because it's 5-on-5, and when all 10 players meet up in like a single skirmish in the middle of the screen, I very quickly lose any sense of what the fuck's going on. Like a lot of times I'll completely lose track of where I am in that skirmish. It's just like press buttons, click, run.
yeah.
But those are the kind of games that I really like watching. I even like watching the international, and I've never played Dota or Dota 2. But if you don't play them or haven't played them, it's really hard to follow like what makes them interesting. It's like trying to watch baseball without knowing the rules, or football or soccer, and hockey is a great example. That's one that anybody that doesn't know the sport, or which gets me to the other thing I wanted to bring up: Australian League or rules football.
Oh, Aussie rules football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be like me trying to watch that because it would take a while before I knew what the hell was going on. It's like I
I
can,
still don't.
yeah. It's like you can tell something exciting's happening, but you're not quite sure what. Like,
Aussie rules football. The only thing I know about it is I like it.
is that the one that's played on like a almost a circular field?
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
there are like kind of flagpoles, and then
yeah.
you dribble the ball kind of, and you like bop the ball to your teammate. And I don't know what the rules are of like when you can just throw it to your teammate and when you have to like punch
Pop
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
like,
what
and I was
my one exposure to that. We were at a Greek restaurant and it was on, and from a distance, like at first, it kind of looks like rugby, and I like
yeah,
rugby. So
yeah, rugby's
I was
cool.
like, sweet, rugby's on, and I start to watch it, like pay a little bit of attention to it. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck are they doing? Is that field round? Why is he
Yep.
punching the ball? I
Yeah,
very quickly figured out it was not rugby.
yeah, it's better than rugby. Um, and it's like I was showing like a video to my friends and they were like, "What the fuck is like why does he get a free shot on the goal?" And I was like, "Well, he caught the ball in the air or whatever." And it's like and that is like that's an example of the type of sentences you will say to explain Australian rules football. It's like, "Why does he get a free kick cuz he caught it?" What?
What? Yeah.
Like
I'll tell you the best way, and that's how I learned rugby and got into watching that. Although here it's, I say into watching, I haven't watched it for years because it's not like you have a ton of opportunity. But
yeah.
was to play the EA Sports rugby game. If you play a video game, you learn the rules and then you can
That's
watch.
how I got into hockey.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I always kind of liked hockey, but I didn't really understand it and like all the rules to it until I played like an ESPN game or something. Um, and that would probably help with the Aussie rules football. But because I don't have a Aussie rules football game available to me, I decided I think the best way to go about learning a new sport is to sort of dip your toe in the water first. So I picked the team that was absolutely in last place
Like
to be my
intentionally,
favorite
you looked
team.
up the.
Yeah. Yeah, my brother showed me the current standings for this season, and I saw the Carlton Blues way down at the bottom at 4-17, and I said I'm gonna go with them because one, their logo is cool.
Always a
Two,
good way to pick a team.
yeah, if you have the option, yeah. Two, because a team sucks, it means I don't have to follow every game. So, and that's really hard to do when they're playing in fucking Australia and they're on at 2 a.m. So I can kind of only sort of give a shit for a couple seasons. And then, eventually that team will hopefully be something decent and I can care a little bit more and learn a little bit more. So
Plus,
that's how
you
you
look like a genius when they get good, and you're like, I was with them when they were bad.
yeah, I saw them when they were fucking 4-17 in
And
2015.
here's another hidden benefit that I immediately jumped to as a Browns fan. If that team is 4-17, yeah, that means they suck. But imagine how fucking awesome those 4 games were that they won.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Because I don't know, I don't even know how it works. Like, I don't know how the championship works or whatever. So it's like one win, it's the best.
right. And it's one of those things like on the flip side, well, the Crew, I've talked about them. I'm a big Columbus Crew fan on MLS. And they're one of those teams that's usually they're not the best team in soccer by any means, but they're usually in playoff contention. They're not bad.
Sure.
We're like in second or third place right now, so when I say not bad, I mean they're pretty damn good, but they're not the best. But
Right.
living here in Columbus, of course, you're Buckeyes fans, and right now they're the first team ever to be unanimously picked, number one preseason. Which, to me, I hear that and I'm like, oh crap, because when you're a fan of a really good team, that does nothing but put pressure on you. Like now, it's like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
expected to win every game. So when you do win, it's not exciting because you were expected to win. But if you
Yeah.
lose, it's like the most crushingly disappointing thing
Well,
ever.
that's the thing being a, LA Clippers fan is those last few seasons, everybody's like, well, they'll finally break into the, you know, Western Conference Finals and they don't. And so now it's like every
Right.
year, oh, you're a bunch of choke artists
And it's
or whatever. And
disappointing.
it's like, yeah, that's a fucking bummer.
Now, if
Um,
the Browns make like the playoffs, let alone the championship, it's like, holy shit, this is the most exciting thing to ever happen to me.
yeah, fucking, I don't have to worry about that with the Carlton Blues. If they win one more game, I think the season might actually be done now, the main season. But if they were to win a game and I watched it, it's fucking great
Right.
because that's all I know is game by game winning, like game by game personal victories. It's not like here where it's like the Eagles win a football game, but in my head it's like, yeah, but they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. You know,
You win one game, but you're like, yeah, great. Now we're still 3-8.
yeah,
And that's what's good. It's sounding like the Eagles. You and me are going to be in the same boat here very shortly once the NFL season kicks off. Although I don't know if the Eagles do it as much as the Browns do, where they like delude themselves every fucking year. Like,
no, the Eagles are. Uh, to be fair, the Eagles have what they have going on. They look really good. Like their preseason has been pretty smart. Like we only had one really major injury to a guy we drafted, but I don't know why we're saying we. I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't get a check.
we're the 12th man.
Yeah,
Ooh.
well, no, I don't even think that. How fucking boring is that? I don't even think I'm the 12th man. I think I'm the front office,
Yeah, that's true.
the fucking Eagles. But they're playing like they won all their preseason games so far, which doesn't mean anything. But you see how people are playing. Sam Bradford threw like for his time in his last preseason game, he was damn near perfect. Um, the problem is it's still Sam Bradford, and he takes one wrong shot, he is in a wheelchair. You
Yeah.
know, but he is, as he is now, and he is healthy right now. He's the best quarterback the Eagles have had. He's looking like the best quarterback the Eagles have had since McNabb, who, like, and back when, fucking McNabb was good. But that's football talk, and we'll get kicked off Twitch for talking about stuff
That's not game related.
God, get Jimmy Kimmel the fuck off Twitch. He's ruining it.
But then I think we're out of
material.
Like I've played something else, but I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. Heroes of the Storm was the big thing until Batman. Batman was one of those. I started it knowing that I was going to be playing Metal Gear in a couple days, but I had already bought. It wasn't like I went out and bought Batman. I got it a couple months ago for like $8 on one of the Steam sales. Might be cheaper than that. So I've had it sitting there forever. I just never started it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think Metal Gear is kind of just superseded everything I had going on.
You better keep interjecting some Mega Man in there, though, because that's...
Mega Man streams will be a good way to unwind, I think. When I spend fucking 2 more hours after the show trying to find that fucking commander. Guy. God, I can't believe how fucking hard they made that.
You'll find out that you've been looking for a man with a red hat and you misheard it. He's a guy with a red cat. Like... or maybe a man with a dead cat. Like, there's just some soldier weeping, like, in a pet cemetery somewhere, and you keep overlooking him because you're like, he doesn't have a red hat. But
you're a fucking child, Steve. Wait, no, you misheard it. He said you're looking for a man with a bread bat.
You're laughing, but now you'll be walking down a hallway and you'll see a guy turn the corner with a bat made out of bread, and you'll be like, oh, fuck.
Oh, shoot him. All right.
No, don't shoot him. You're supposed to capture him.
I have a trank dart.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's really
It is fun to, like, kung fu people in that game with, like, a prosthetic arm. Just, like...
That just reminded me of the hospital scene where you find out about your, like, arm being blown off, which reminded me of my favorite thing. It's a mild spoiler to a joke, but it was, like, the funniest thing, I think, in a game ever. That it launches you into a character customizer.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, they did a really good job keeping this feature under wraps.
I'm glad it wasn't me who brought it up, because that was honestly, as fucking cool as that intro is, that was the one thing I didn't want to spoil for people. Because like you turn it on, you start playing it, and then it's like, oh, you got to change your appearance, and I was like, totally, like. Everything you had seen up to that point, and like on the E3, you're like, what? And I was actually kind of bummed out because I was like, oh, I don't get to look like fucking, I don't get to look like Snake. That sucks.
And typically in games like that, like I did it in Mass Effect, it's like, oh, you can make Shepard look however you want. I'm like, I want Shepard to look like Shepard. Like I didn't change him at all, and especially with a character like Big Boss or whatever.
Well, Shepard, it was like Shepard to me, there was nothing to base that off of. Like there wasn't a character there so much as like an avatar for me to like jump into.
But that's my point. Like there wasn't an established character, at least when the first one came out, and I still felt like, well, this is how the designers designed it. And with Big Boss, he's got a well-established appearance, and I was like, huh. I'm like, what?
And then I was like kind of like double disappointed because I ended up making in the character creator, I ended up making a pretty good replica of like old Snake from Metal Gear Solid 4. And then they're like, you you dumbass, we're not fucking this is Metal Gear, you're not changing shit.
That was what floored me the most, is like you can pick skin color, and I'm like, I don't know how they're going to explain away a changing skin color, but that's cool that they put it in there for people. And then they're like, kidding. But then at the end, it really makes you think, they spent time, honest to God, time putting a very good character creator. That was one of the better ones I'd ever
Yeah,
used.
it's better than like almost anything any RPG tried to do.
Right.
And it's like so detailed, and then it's just like, you fucking idiots. It's Metal Gear.
Now, and I guess you can explain that like they can make it better than any because they don't actually have to make the entire game animation system work
I
with
don't
what you
know about
create.
that. I think they could have done all of MGS5 with a custom
Well, and
character,
it very well
and it
might have been
probably
like
would
the
have been
tools that
okay.
they used to design the other
That,
in-game
that,
characters,
that
but
Fox engine looks really fucking good.
it does. And like I said, there's points where like your game will stop and break into like a cutscene, but it's all real time, and it's like holy crap.
Yeah. So I actually think they probably could have pulled that off. I'm so glad they didn't because it was such a fucking funny,
Yes.
like, because like I'm like, there was like, I was sort of bummed that like I spent time in that creator, but I was like, it was that simultaneous like relief and like fuck you for playing me like a fiddle.
Yeah, like did you really just do that? That was hilarious. So I'll
Yeah,
spoil that one, but
that's
and
what,
there's
and
more
that's
to it. I want to talk about like there's like so many things I want to talk about in that game, but we'll do off air.
yeah, and like it's shit like that where you're like, yeah, that's a Kojima game. That's Kojima's. Like he'll fucking do that shit. Um, he'll also apparently like, now I know why they took his name off the fucking box art, because his name is everywhere in that game. Literally after every mission.
He's literally in the game. Like he's I don't know if you've seen that. He's a character you can unlock for the base, mother
Really?
base. Yeah.
Like after every mission, it's like directed by Hideo Kojima,
Uh huh.
and it's like, you know what? You don't need to be on the cover art. I agree with Konami on that one. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's
Like
one of those
if
things
there are
where
going to be credits every time.
and it's funny because it's like anything in life, but when that all went down, people were so quick to jump behind Kojima because he's the beloved character. You know, he's the one everybody likes and likes his games, and Konami's this big evil faceless corporation that everybody already hates because they do so many dumb things.
No
But
argument for me on that, by the way.
right. But at the same time, anytime situations like that go down, you know it's really not 100% one-sided. There was probably stuff like that that Konami was
Well,
getting sick of too. Like, hey,
well,
wait
you
a
know what
minute.
Konami was sick of. We know it was his fucking insane budget
Yeah.
that he required to make a game like Metal Gear Solid 5. At the same time, dude might know what the fuck he's talking about. Look how good Metal Gear Solid 5 is.
That was a statement somebody made online that it seems very true. Now, who knows? I'm 90 minutes in to the
Sure.
game, but
But a lot of people seem to really like
right.
it, and we are two of them so
And
far.
and the one guy said, you know what? If I had to pick one last thing to like actually give Konami money for before I never buy a Konami thing in my life again, this was a perfect game for that. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because that statement goes both ways. It's like, yeah, fuck you, I'm never buying a Konami game again. But that's mostly because there's probably will never be another Konami game again unless you buy pachinko machines. But
I think I would like it if there was like that clean break, but I honestly think they're probably going to see like the success they get with Metal Gear, and I think it's going to be kind of an ugly, almost like
oh, they'll try to cash
not
in on.
yeah, not like Silent Hills. Like I mean, like later Silent Hill games that were kind of rough, and it's just like, even if like you took it on your own and you were like it's all right, in the context of like Metal Gear, people are going to be like, this shit is not Metal Gear. Like this is just, you know, them trying to keep that brand alive. But
Right.
that's the thing. Like what, Kojima is Metal Gear. Like and honestly, I'm kind of relieved that, you know, for his part, it seems like he's done, and because he's been saying for fucking years how everyone would be the last one. Um, and
Although
now
you can say that, and I wouldn't be shocked if in 2 years a Kickstarter project comes up called like Fighter Stealth Guy, or I don't know. They'd be way more clever than
Fighter
that,
Stealth
but
Guy, that's a great game.
yeah.
Fighter Stealth guy for the
But
Genesis.
I love seeing these people leave their companies, and then, well, yeah, it goes back to the Red Ash and Mighty Number Nine, like where it's obvious they're like, well, basically we want to try to keep making our games, but without we can't use the name, but
I
we're going to
would,
be as obvious about it as we can.
but I would love to actually see a guy like Kojima go that route now,
He'd be the one to
because
do
that's the
it.
thing is like you and me, it took us however many games to actually seem to enjoy an MGS game, but I would love to see a guy with his creativity try to do something new now.
Yeah.
Uh, and even if it was in the guise of like a spiritual successor, I think he's somebody who would really embrace the freedom of like, finally, I don't have to tie this all back into fucking, Snake or some
Right.
shit. Like, I can make the game I want to make here. And that was the thing about that made Silent Hill so goddamn exciting to me. It wasn't that, the fucking new Silent Hill game. I don't give a shit. It's Kojima doing something that Kojima didn't ever do before.
That's the biggest disappointment to me, is that all this couldn't have happened at towards the end or after Silent Hills instead of after.
Right. Yeah.
And then we talked about it, and it's just like you feel so bad for Guillermo del Toro. it's like dude, we've all
Yeah.
been super excited about all your projects. They just haven't worked out. Don't give up. Keep
I don't know.
trying.
I feel like I I don't know. It's presumptuous to say, but fuck it, it's a podcast. I'll say it. Um, I feel like we live in a time though where if you really want to make a game, like maybe you can't do the goddamn Konami budget and do a Silent Hills thing, but I like the industry is more accessible than ever, and if you're Guillermo del Toro, you fuck, dude. Like, knock on a door
Oh,
and
right, right.
like
Well, and that's the
a
funny thing.
company will let you in and talk to you. It's like set up a meeting, fucking talk to people. Like, I feel like
I
he
kind
was
of,
looking for a very specific thing, and that, like, now that he can't do it, he's kind of,
yeah.
mentally distancing himself from it.
I really
Which is
thought
fine.
at first when this all went down with Kojima, that we were going to see Del Toro and him pursue like a Kickstarter type. I guarantee they could make they like you said, they couldn't raise Konami type money. That wouldn't happen. But they could raise plenty of money to put together a quality
Sure.
product. And the other thing that I haven't seen too many people exploit or try to and I don't mean exploit in a bad way, but they've got two things going for them for something like Silent Hills. If they wanted to do that, you've got Kickstarter, which for them they've got a huge advantage just based on name recognition alone, and episodic game releases, which are a relatively new phenomenon. But you could put together, even if you wanted to do some grand story, you could fund it like one chapter at a time and break it down into, instead of being a 60-hour game you put out a 5 to 10 hour game, and then if that works, follow it up.
Right.
So yeah, there
Yeah.
definitely are options out there, and hopefully we'll see something come up. But
I think somebody will probably come to him one day, and it'll be long enough that like he'll be like, okay, let's try doing this maybe, and he's like, I don't know. I
but
would be surprised.
it'll be Capcom. That's when they finally make the announcement.
Resident, they do Resident Evil.
No, I was thinking Mega Man.
I would
Mega
love
Man
fucking
feat Guillermo del Toro.
fuck. I could dig it.
Yeah.
Couldn't be any worse than like
Than
than him
nothing.
being dead.
The biggest Mega Man project on the horizon right now is that freaking helmet that you can pre-order.
Man, fuck that helmet.
I would have loved to have had you with us at the first PAX that we went to. I think it was the first one. Could have been the second. But anyway, there was a Capcom panel that we were in. It had to be the second because that was when DuckTales was announced, remastered. And we're all sitting there, and they're going through their stuff, and I think they had done DuckTales, and then because the rumors had been that they were going to announce Mega Man something, because that's the rumors every fucking show, because we've been waiting for it for how long. And the Mega Man logo comes up on screen, and everybody kind of has this collective. They announced a light up statuette that they were going to be selling in the the story. That was the Mega Man announcement, and I think some people were excited. Someone like me that's not a big Mega Man fan, I wasn't disappointed, but as somebody that's covering the panel, I was kind of looking at that like, yeah, I'm not writing about that. That's not going into my coverage. You announced a lamp. Literally, they announced a lamp.
Yeah, and I look at that fucking helmet they're peddling right now, and I'm just like, you know what that helmet's missing? The fucking man, like the fucking robot that goes into it. Like you don't. I'm like, you know what's missing in the fucking Mega Man helmet? The goddamn video game to get people to fucking care.
Right. And that's what's hilarious to me about the helmet thing is it's the lamp thing all over again. It's like they
dude.
Like the. And it wasn't like we were the only ones like, oh, it's a lamp. I mean, everybody's like, are you kidding me?
That's a lamp.
You announced merchandise. And they're like, yeah. And we're
and
going to do it again.
And that's all the Mega Man Twitter does now is like announce fucking merchandise.
Yeah. Here's a pillow you can put on your fist that kind of looks like an arm blaster.
Yeah, do you want to wear a fucking Mega Man Mega Buster sleeve? It's like, I don't even wear like an athletic sleeve. Like when I play basketball, I'm not an NBA player.
Tell you what, though, I could see you buying all of that stuff if it was in conjunction with a new game, so that you could be all like, I could picture you like in line for a midnight release dressed as Mega Man. Like,
you know what? I'll fucking admit I would probably get drunk one night and buy a Mega Man helmet. Like. If it wasn't so like overpriced, like it's this overpriced novelty fucking shit where it's like I can get like a real replica video game katana for like a quarter of the price you're charging for that stupid
how much
plastic
do they want
helmet.
for that helmet? I've never even looked. I just laugh at the picture and subtweet or tweet you in it every time I see it.
Yeah, and just to fucking piss me off. I don't remember. Let's look it up now that I can do that. $150.
Seriously. Oh, and the funny thing is, there's so many like skilled cosplay type people out there. You could probably get somebody to build you one just as good for a third of that.
No, this is great. It opens up in half, so it like you can't just put the helmet on. You got to open it in half and sandwich it over your head. Yeah, I want to do that like a fucking Saw death trap.
I was gonna say I've got an abnormally large. It doesn't look like I'm not one of those people. I don't think that look like they have a disproportionate sized head, but my head's a lot bigger than. Like when you wear a fitted hat, I'm up near the top of the fitted hat. Like
I'm watching images for the. I'm looking at pictures of it. It doesn't even look fucking even. It's not even symmetrical.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, to be honest, when I looked at it, I'm like, to me, that doesn't look like what I picture when I picture a Mega Man helmet. Because I always picture the 8-bit Mega Man. And to have it like, well, I mean, I know that's how the helmet's how the character was like conceptualized as an actual physical character. But I'm like, nah. If I'm going to buy a Mega Man helmet, which I'm not because I don't like Mega Man, but I would want it to be an 8-bit looking, like, weird retro helmet.
Well, I think they have that too.
Yeah. And it's probably a pillow that you pull over the top of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you know, earmuffs or some shit. I don't know. Yeah, that looks terrible. Like, I've never actually looked at it before. I think I just saw a $150 Mega Man replica helmet, and I was like, fuck that.
Yeah. But the ear holes light up, which was another thing that was weird to me, because when I picture Mega Man, like when I'm watching you play, I don't interpret that helmet as lights on the ear holes. It's just like, that's just the color of the...
Yeah, it seems very... It definitely is more a Mega Man X helmet than a Mega Man helmet. And these people do not look genuinely happy wearing it.
No. Well, like you said, it probably squeezes their, like, it's compressing their skull. That's what would worry me if it's something that has to, like, clip down over your head. I'd go to put it on and it just crush your...
Like, the statue I get, because it's on a level of, like, okay, I can have that on my desk with my other fucking shit that hangs out on my desk, and it'll just sit there and collect dust, but whatever. It's decoration. Like, this fucking helmet is so bulky, and it doesn't even look, like, good. Like, this would impress me if somebody just sort of whipped this up at home. But to say that this is a product that you can pre-order for $150.
Ooh, that was the other funny thing to me. It wasn't like, here's a helmet you can buy. It's, here's a helmet you can pre-order. It's like, why would I need to pre-order a...
Because they need to know how many of these fucking pieces of shit to make.
And knowing Capcom is just somebody on an Etsy or Etsy, however it's pronounced, Etsy shop somewhere that they're like... Because it seems like anymore, they only sell fan-made stuff anyway. And they're just like, yeah.
I mean, that's what they did for, like, the fucking huge anniversary of Mega Man, was they released a fan-made game, and not even the good one that came out that year.
Capcom.
Fucking Capcom. Fucking video games.
Yeah.
We can probably call that a show.
Probably, because
note,
we're both sitting here. I'm kind of staring at the Steam icon down there, like.
Yeah, I need to get fucking food in my tum tum,
yes.
And I need to play Metal Gear.
And it's weird to me because at the end of every podcast, you're like, all right, I need to go eat, and it's like me too, but we're 3 hours apart in time difference. But
but I don't eat during the day, so if I don't eat by 5, I turn into a fucking maniac.
Like as opposed to your normal maniacness.
Yeah, now right now I still have a few minutes, so I only get crazy if you bring up Capcom.
Fair enough.
And so yeah, that's the show this week. Tune in next week for another show. I think. I don't know.
We don't really need to do like the call outs anymore at the end because this it's all at the bottom of the screen. Just look at the bottom of the screen and.
Well, will we have an audio version going up?
I think there's going to be about a month worth of audio versions going up all at once because I haven't put any of the I did the first video podcast and I haven't put the other ones up yet. Because
fair enough.
The time I spend doing that is time I take away from playing video games. So
that's a very good point. And how can we cover video games if we're not playing them?
But yes,
that's our logic.
There should be an audio version going up, so you can check that out on iTunes, which isn't at the bottom of the screen. But if you're watching this, you're most likely not searching for it on iTunes because you already listened.
Yeah. So you listened. It's over. Have a fucking good day. Bye.
Bye.